Did something ancient and monstrous really survive in the depths of Scotland's most famous lake? Or is it just a myth that's captured our imaginations for centuries? Today we dive into the waters of Loch Ness to explore the mystery that has baffled scientists, captivated locals, and drawn tourists from around the world. Who or what is the Loch Ness Monster? Let's set the scene. It's 1933, a foggy afternoon in the Scottish Highlands. A couple driving along the road next to Loch Ness claimed to have seen a massive creature moving through the water. This sighting was the spark that ignited global fascination with the so-called Nessie. But was this the first time the creature was spotted? Not quite. The legend of a mysterious beast in Loch Ness goes back much further to ancient times. The earliest recorded sighting dates all the way back to the year 565 AD, when an Irish monk named St. Columba allegedly encountered a water beast in the River Ness, which flows into the famous lake. According to the story, the creature attempted to attack a swimmer, but St. Columba invoked the name of God and drove it away. Was this the birth of the Loch Ness Monster myth? Or could it have been something else entirely? For centuries, locals whispered tales of strange creatures lurking beneath the murky waters of Loch Ness, but it wasn't until the 20th century that the story truly took on a life of its own. The real explosion of Nessie mania came in 1934 with one of the most famous photographs ever taken, the so-called surgeon's photograph. This iconic black and white image, showing what appeared to be a long neck and a small head rising from the water, became the definitive proof, in the eyes of believers, that Nessie was real. However, decades later, in the 1990s, it was revealed that the photo was nothing more than an elaborate hoax, involving a toy submarine and some clever trickery. But by then, the Loch Ness Monster had already cemented its place in popular culture. So if that photograph was a fake, what about the hundreds of other sightings reported over the years? Skeptics argue that many supposed sightings can be easily explained. Loch Ness, after all, is known for its peculiar waves caused by wind patterns and water currents. Some sightings could also be attributed to floating logs, birds, or even the occasional deer swimming across the lake. The human mind has a funny way of interpreting what it sees, especially when it's primed to expect a monster lurking beneath the surface. But not everyone is convinced by these explanations. In 1972, a team of researchers from the Academy of Applied Science conducted one of the most ambitious scientific investigations of Loch Ness to date. Using sonar equipment, they claimed to detect large, moving shapes deep below the surface. One sonar reading showed a massive object, around 20 feet long, that seemed to move in ways that couldn't be explained by ordinary fish or known animals. The scientific community, however, remained divided. Was this proof of a living dinosaur-like creature, or just a misinterpretation of sonar readings? In the decades that followed, technology continued to evolve, leading to even more ambitious attempts to find Nessie. In 2018, a team of scientists from New Zealand conducted an extensive DNA survey of Loch Ness. They collected hundreds of water samples, searching for traces of any unusual species that might be lurking below. Their findings? No evidence of a prehistoric creature or anything out of the ordinary. However, they did discover an abundance of eel DNA, leading to a new theory. Could Nessie simply be an exceptionally large eel, misidentified by excited witnesses? It's a compelling idea. The European eel can reach impressive lengths, but nothing close to the size described in Nessie sightings. Still, some scientists speculate that it's not impossible for a freakishly large specimen to exist, hidden away in the deep waters of the loch. And then there's the question of the loch itself. Loch Ness is not your average lake. It's one of the deepest bodies of fresh water in Europe, reaching depths of over 750 feet. The water is cold, dark, and murky, thanks to high levels of peat washed down from the surrounding hills. This makes it an ideal hiding place for something, if that something exists. But despite extensive searches using sonar, submersibles, and even satellite technology, no conclusive evidence of a giant creature has ever been found. So where does that leave us? Is the Loch Ness Monster simply a case of mistaken identity, hoaxes, and overactive imaginations? Or could there still be something unexplained lurking beneath the surface? What we do know is this: the legend of the Loch Ness Monster endures, not because of scientific evidence, but because of our innate desire to believe in the extraordinary. As long as Loch Ness remains deep, dark, and mysterious, the story of Nessie will continue to draw people to its shores, hoping for just a glimpse of something otherworldly. And maybe, just maybe, the Loch Ness Monster is less about what's out there in the water, and more about the mysteries we still carry within us. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe too. Who knows what other secrets history might reveal next?